Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Today is Broadhead Recovery Day. At least that's what I'm calling it. Nice windy sunny afternoon in mid-October. I have two arrows we're going to be working on today. Well, not arrows, but broadheads. Both of them are iron wills. I was fortunate enough to basically tag out in the state of Georgia. I'm going to resharpen, touch up, whatever you want to call these iron wheels. These are single bevel, 200 grain iron wheels. This particular broadhead right here shot through a mature buck, basically at the base of the neck. Wasn't exactly where I was trying to hit it, but passed through, and it still has you can see dirt all the way up to here. It's about a foot. And but anyway, all meat, no bones hit. Deer expired. Blood trail was like you were pouring it out of a jug, but it did go into the ground. Believe it or not, this head is pretty daggum sharp. And of course, I had sharpened these heads and stropped them prior. So the second one was a head that I shot a deer with just a few days ago, the 11th actually. This one's a little bit different. This broadhead went hard #2 shot. It went straight through the knuckle of the shoulder, shattered the shoulder. I don't have the shoulder I took it to the processor. Didn't request it from them. But anyway, I've got a video I'm gonna try to put in here. You'll see this shoulder got blown apart, this four-wheeler. But anyway, this deer was shot in the shoulder. It was a pretty hard #2 in the shoulder, and look, this thing is broken. I mean, it is busted. I don't know what it looks like in there, but the arrow came out about right here on the other side. This is not a little deer. He's grown, but this is with the 200 grain iron wheel single bevel. Right through the knuckle of the shoulder. And of course, it was a complete pass-through. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. I mean, he's done. This deer went about 60 yards and he was done. Blood trail was not the best in the world, but I'll tell you, I'm colorblind and I could see it. So, all right. As I passed through, went all the way through, and this did not actually stick in the ground. It was just laying on the ground as it went out. So there was a ton of energy sucked up when this thing obviously hit the shoulder bone knuckle, and then it went through the cavity, chest cavity, I'm assuming top heart, lungs, and then I'm pretty sure it took a bit of the liver going out. It came out low in the chest, pretty far back. I was in a tree stand and I was pretty low. I was only about 16 feet off the ground, but just where I was at, that's all it would allow. But anyway, so this is going to be maybe hard to see, but there's a little bit of chatter on this head. It's kind of hard to see with the blood still on it. But anyway, I'm gonna clean these heads up, disassemble them, and we'll go through the steps of basically resharpening, recovering. This one right here, the meat shot into the dirt. I mean, this is going to be minimal work at best. It's gonna sharpen up very quickly. This one, once I get it cleaned up, I think we might be able to see a little bit better what's going on this, right on this edge, right here possibly. Bleeders actually look pretty good. And there might be a little bit in there. Okay. So let me pause this, clean these up, get them taken apart, and we'll go through the steps of getting these things ready to go through another animal. All right, so I got these things taken apart. Well, I have one of these taken apart. And while I've got it apart into pieces, you got your bleeder, your main blade, the ferrule, and then the screw. So I'm gonna set these aside, and I'm gonna get just a sheet of 800. And what I wanna do, just put a little bit of juice here. Now this is the head that took the most damage. I don't know if you guys can see on the edge right there. There's a little bit of, some people call it chatter. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's pretty minimal. You can see a little bit right there. And then this side actually looks pretty good. And keep in mind, this is this is through the knuckle. The tip, pretty good. There's a little bit of stuff going right there. Not sure if you can see that. I gotta try to get the light. You can see right in there. Right in there. Okay, anyway, so what I want to do, the back, so this is single bevel. I want to make sure that this back is flat and that this is flat. So I'm going to take my Sharpie. I'm going to go across here. And again, I'm not trying to remove a ton of metal. And actually, I don't even need a lube duct piece. Let's just take a dry, flat piece. I'm just gonna lay this on here, and I'm just gonna drag it across. See what it looks like. So we can see it's all hitting right there. Pretty uniform. What I'm looking for is high spots on this back side. And I think we're good. I think we're good on this side. I don't really feel any kind of edge burr. So we'll do the same thing on this side. I'm just gonna drag it across, drag it across. All right, so you can see what's going on over here. Might be a little, actually it's actually rolled the other way. Okay, you can see that right there. So that'll come out with strokes when we put it in the jig. All right, so that's good. Go ahead and knock the rest of this Sharpie off of there. Knock this Sharpie off of here. All right, good to go. Okay, so now that we know that we're flat on the flat of the bevel, and we need to just work on the grind or the actual beveled section, I'm going to put this back in the ferrule. It helps me index in my KME, and that way I get my angles the same. So Let me pause this. I'm gonna put this on the KME and we'll come back. Okay, so we've got this mounted up in our jig, and here's what you're looking for. So I've already got it adjusted, but basically when you get Sharpie, you know, over the whole edge, you can set it one swipe and it's clean, right? All the way down to the edge. And then of course, on the iron wheel, you have your main plane, which is this is the only plane that you're going to be able to get sharp with any other type of device. But the KME lets you rotate this. So now I can put it down, rotate it, and now we're taking Sharpie off the front. And there's just a tiny bit left here, but that'll work its way out, especially because we got a little bit of chatter going on that we've got to take care of, right? So, all right, now that we've got that established as far as our angle, and again, if you can see faint little edges of Sharpie down here, you need to steepen your ankle a little bit. But if you're seeing faint bits of Sharpie at the top, then you need to shallow it down. It's got to take, you know, the angle's got to be all the way across, and then that angle should be good enough for this when you rotate it over here. Because I know I'm sharpening that, which would be this very tip right here. Okay, all right. So this is 500. I'm gonna put a little WD on here. All right, and there's no pressure. I'm just spreading the oil around. And basically the oil, again, is to float any kind of metal. So I'm just gonna go back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna do 8 strokes with 500. 500 is super aggressive. We've still got a little bit of that chatter going on right there. Okay, now I want to turn it, and we're going to do the tip. So when I say turn it, we're rotating it, and you'll feel the flat of this tip. It's not much. Rotate. So I did 8. Okay, so there we are. So you can kind of see there's two angles on this bevel. All right. Now, try to move this camera just a touch here, so we can get this edge. Not doing a real good job up here. I'm not a videographer, that's for sure. But basically, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna, because I'm starting to roll this over, I'm gonna knock this off on this back side here, okay? So what we do is we get on this flat. So again, you take your broadhead and you lay it flat right here. Not up and down, flat, and you're gonna pull. Flat, and just pull. And what we're doing is we're getting this flat, and what you're starting to see is that a little bit of chatter starting to go away. Right? It's a little bit right here. This up here is already starting to clean up. It's just a touch right here. Okay. Let me get this camera. All right, that may be a little bit better. All right, so let's continue. So I went 8 strokes. So let's go 8 more. right, now let's rotate and do the front portion. All right. So it's looking pretty good just after a few strokes. All right. All right, now let's pull out the back. Okay. I think I want to go. I think I want to go one more time. Okay. That was 5. We're just going to do 5. Okay. Every time I wipe it with my finger, I'm getting debris from my finger off of it. So I'm going to pull the rag out. And just looking at that, it's looking pretty good. Just a tiny little bit of stuff right here. I think that's on the back and a little bit right there. Let me go ahead and do the back side. All right. Starting to look pretty good now. So I think at this point, I'm going to move away from 500. I just don't think I need to remove any more metal. I think we can work tiny burrs and sharpen that from this point on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way through. We're going to go 800, then we're going to go 1200, 1500, and then I have 2000, and then finally I have polishing. So let me work through those. Probably just going to fast forward through all this. That way you can see that I'm actually doing this. May stop in between grits, I don't know. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this done and get this head back into usable condition. All right, so that is 800. And you can see it's starting to look much better. And again, you can see the two angles. Both of them are being sharpened, right? So we'll move on. Okay, so this is after, what is this? 1200 grit. So 1200 grit, you can see we're getting a little bit more polish. The edge is looking good. Again, maintaining both of those angles. starting to look real good. And by the way, the head's sharp. I mean, right now, I mean, it's pretty daggum sharp. Okay, so let me go ahead and do 2000, and then we'll polish it up, and we'll take a look at it from there. 1000, and we're looking really good. Again, you can see the front, so that means this edge is sharp, and this backside. I mean, the head's sharp right now, but all right, let's go ahead to the polish phase. Let me get my board here. Okay. All right. You can kind of see we even polished the back of it a little bit, which is what you want, because that means it's flat. But here's the main blades. They are nice and polished. And brother, they are sharp. Let's see if I have any hair. I mean, it's just knocking that hair right off my arm. So, yeah, I'd say it's ready. So again, if you get a little bit of chatter, you don't have to go and remove tons of metal. I started off with 500 grit. People talk about how hard these things are to sharpen, as far as, you know, you go through tons and tons of sandpaper. I'm telling you, what you saw is exactly what I used and exactly how long it took. I'm talking, you know, 15 to 20 strokes with 500 grit at the proper angles to get everything, you know, back in the direction. And then it's just like sharpening this thing like normal, you know. But because all the angles and everything are there, it doesn't take as long. This other head that I shot basically through the meat and the dirt, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna take it apart, clean it, and I'm gonna run it from 1200 grit, polish it with 2000, and then I'm gonna polish it with the cardboard and buffing compound, and it's gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be good to go. And the bleeders, I'm gonna do the same thing. If you look back at my other video, I'm not gonna do it on this one, but I am gonna sharpen these bleeders. This bleeder, it's got a little rollover, but again, it's not gonna take much to get this thing up. So, you know, your $40 broadhead, guess what? I don't know many broadheads that can go through a shoulder, I mean, and blow a knuckle apart, and then you pick it up off the ground, put it in a KME, some sandpaper, and literally in 10 to 15 minutes, you've got it polished, razor sharp. I mean, to me, that's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Hell of a product. All right, folks. Thanks for watching.